A lot of you know, if you were here last week, you would know that I wasn't, if you paid attention. I was back in Minnesota. My grandma passed away somewhat suddenly. She had been in a nursing home, but it came on pretty quick. And the week before that, I had no idea. And boom, last week, I was out of town going back for a funeral. If you guys are keeping track or keeping score, that's 2 grandmas now since I moved here 6 months ago. Both my grandmas have passed away, and I've had to make sudden trips back to Minnesota. It was a sad time. It was a sad funeral, as funerals tend to be. But it was actually, those times bring you together. They kind of give you a shot of reality. They give you what really matters. You get to be around family and those types of things. And one thing that I was able to do at the funeral was I wrote up some words about my grandma, just my own thoughts and personal feelings, as part of going to be this tribute thing to my grandma. And so I went up in front of everybody. I was just a bumbling, I mean, I get up here and talk every week, but I just got up there like a bumbling beast. That's a real thing. And I was just like, I started like just choking up, and I'm like, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to get through this. And I found out that morning I was the only one doing the family tribute, which was a little bit more pressure. And then, I would not suggest this, but try doing that, walking across the pulpit and walking down and grabbing a microphone to sing with your 2 cousins, a tribute song to your grandma. Kind of rough, kind of crazy, kind of nuts. But I know where my grandma's at because she had the most faith of maybe anyone I've ever known. And I kept thinking about that thought while I was at this funeral. Is how weird and awkward and rough this must be for someone sitting in here who doesn't know the Lord. And we're quoting all these scripture about God's got this under control and God's taking care of this, and she's with the Lord. And it's like, but if you don't believe that, what do you believe? Like, you know, I was actually trying to get into someone's mind and understand where they're at when they're processing what's going on right now when someone passes away, because that's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's going to happen. And we're going through this book called Crazy Love. I'm just going to promote books left and right to you guys. If you have a choice, one or the other, please go get this one first. This is Francis Chan. This is Crazy Love. We're kind of talking through this book. And this chapter is actually called You May Not Finish This Chapter. And the title of that means we're not guaranteed anything in life. The idea that you might not finish this chapter comes from the idea that, not that it's morbid, not that, oh, we're all going to die, we could die at any second, but the reality that we're all going to die and we could die at any second. You see, we never know what's going to happen when we plan things out. When we plan things out. Check this out. So, in case you had any doubts about how cool I was in high school, hear me out on this story. So it's junior year of high school, and I really had a crush on this girl who will remain nameless. And I was really excited because I knew 2 weeks ahead that she was having a party at her house. Yeah, and I was stoked because I was going to go. I was going to woo her, and I had like these lines, and I had written up this letter, and I was going to do all these things. I'm like, it's going to be at her house. I was invited. This is going to be so good. And I had 2 weeks to plan how this would all go, and I just went like so crazy. And I even planned for her reaction, and then I planned like the next, like 2 weeks later, there was a dance, and then I planned our wedding stuff. But it totally worked out for me. My wife's back there, so you don't have to worry too much. No, she's here. You don't have to worry too much. It worked out. But here's the thing. So I had all these plans going on, and I get to her house, and I'm at her house maybe 5 minutes, and I go looking for her because I'm ready. I'm shaking. I'm just like, I'm so, because we had a class and this whole thing, and I get to where she's at, and I see her on the couch canoodling with this other dude. They looked pretty serious. I was pretty bummed out for about 5 minutes. I went out on the back deck and I cried a little bit. So there went my planning, right? So that was my plan. Well, what happened at that point was I walked out on the back porch, and a few of my buddies just, who I didn't know were going to be at this party, they showed up like, dude, what are you doing right now? I'm like, well, I kind of want to leave. And they said, let's go. So they had a different plan that was in the works. And this plan had involved my friend leaving school late one day, down by the gym and where all the athletic equipment and stuff was at. He found this box of old toit baseball pants, okay? Like this full box of baseball pants that were getting thrown away. So he decided we can use this for something. So he grabs this huge box of hundreds of pairs of baseball pants and puts them into the trunk of his car. So now there's 5 of them. I'm telling you, I was cool as heck. Cool as ice, they might say. Vanilla Ice? Anyone? No? Great movie. Okay, so I packed up 5 of us. We got into this car with this box full of baseball pants, not knowing what was going to happen. We ended up at someone's house. To this day, I don't know who they were. I didn't bother to ask, apparently, but in the middle of the night, we proceeded. You guys have gone TPing before, maybe? Okay, so we proceeded then that night to pants someone's house. So we were just giggling like little boys and throwing baseball pants up into trees of this one yard. It was one of like the most fun nights and best memories that I have from high school. And it stemmed from my plans. It stemmed from my plans getting broken. Because sometimes our plans don't quite pan out. Sometimes our plans don't quite pan out. I bet you guys have plans for tonight. I bet you have plans when you go home, you're going to watch whatever you TiVo'd, you're going to do your homework, you're going to get on Facebook immediately and see if that dude or lady is on there so you can awkwardly try to chat. You're going to do whatever. You have plans for tonight, you have plans for tomorrow. I bet some of you guys have plans for spring break already, next summer trips, right? Okay. See, we all have plans. We all have plans. And that's cool. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with having plans. But when we plan things out too much, where we forget about what's happening in the present, we miss out. And the Bible talks about that. There's a spot in James, in chapter 4, where it says, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, make money. Why? You don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes." So this passage is a passage that warns us. It warns us to not get too wrapped up with trying to plan everything out to a T. Because what happens when that doesn't work out? Are we crushed? Because life is all about how we react and we respond to situations, good or bad.